mistress of dread, lady of slaughter, she who mauls.
In the grim narrative of Netflix's animated series Castlevania Nocturne, inspired by the iconic rondo of blood and symphony of the Night Games, Erzsebet Bathory emerges as the formidable and enigmatic main antagonist. Although her character shares a name with the historical Erzsebet Báthory, this incarnation is distinctly different, endowed with chilling depth and a unique mythology. Erzsebet is depicted as a vampire countess with grand and malevolent aspirations, styling herself as the vampire messiah. Her terrifying power stems from an ancient and forbidden ritual where she consumed the blood of the Egyptian war goddess Sekhmet, claiming the deity's formidable abilities as her own. With the dark magic of a goddess coursing through her veins, Erzsebet harbors a cataclysmic ambition to envelop the world in an endless night, heralding an era of vampire dominion. Her sinister plan focuses on stifling the nascent flames of the French Revolution, a strategy that would allow Erzsebet to forge a new world order under the cold and relentless rule of her vampire kin. Her character is a blend of ancient power and timeless malice, a fitting villain in the dark and dangerous universe of Castlevania Nocturne. Before we begin, I have a small request for you. If you enjoy my content, I invite you to join our community by simply clicking to subscribe to the channel. Your action, though small, propels these videos. I deeply appreciate your support, and now it's time to begin. Even before her transformation into the fearsome countess, her name was synonymous with unspeakable cruelty. Her hands, while still mortal, were stained with the blood of countless innocents, as she subjected many young souls to a horrifying ordeal of torture and murder within her dark halls. Her transformation into a vampire only amplified her bloodlust. Ascending to the title of countess, she became a central figure of darkness, gathering a horde of vampires and fanatical humans, including the formidable Drolta. Together, they unleashed a reign of terror over any settlement that dared to challenge her sinister order. Her castle, a monument to her cruel reign, became a feared place where young women were imprisoned and subjected to her twisted whims. Among her many victims was Terra's sister, whom Erzsebet turned into a vampire, setting the stage for a tragic confrontation that forced Terra to commit a heart-wrenching act of mercy. Erzsebet's quest for power knew no bounds. Her most daring feat was consuming the blood of Sekhmet, imbibing the divine power of the goddess of war. However, her ambition was insatiable. Dreaming of a world engulfed in eternal night, she plotted to overthrow the sun god Ra himself, a step towards her ultimate goal of global dominion and forcing humanity into servitude and worship. To gather forces for this dark crusade, Erzsebet attracted a cabal of powerful vampires by exploiting their fears of social upheaval and the end of a privileged era. Even humans found themselves ensnared by her influence, most notably Abbot Emmanuel, a master forger who saw in Erzsebet a means to crush the revolutionary tide sweeping France. Together, they forged an alliance, united in their desire to stifle the winds of change and secure a world ruled by darkness and terror. In the year 1792, as France grappled with the aftermath of the Revolution and the suppression of royalist uprisings in the Vendée region, the nefarious Erzsebet set in motion a series of dark machinations. In a clandestine meeting, Drolta presents to Erzsebet a young girl, the daughter of a revolutionary, in whom Erzsebet takes an immediate interest. She keeps the girl close, gradually draining her blood while simultaneously plotting her next moves. It is during an assembly of her dark followers that Erzsebet learns of Emmanuel's secret daughter, Maria Renard. She quickly realizes the potential of exploiting this revelation to secure Emmanuel's unwavering loyalty. As she plans to extend her dominion to the shores of America, Erzsebet summons Olrox to be her guide in these new lands. However, she encounters a hint of insubordination, a challenge to her supreme authority that she quells with a demonstration of her dark powers, leaving Olrox with no choice but to submit to her will. Beneath the gloomy vaults of a church, Erzsebet confronts Emmanuel with knowledge of his daughter, demanding a blood sacrifice to cement their unholy pact. The moment is charged with tension and fear as Erzsebet leverages every facet of her power and cunning to bind the master forger to her dark cause. In a grand and terrifying display of her newly acquired power, Erzsebet triggers an eclipse, plunging the world into an unending night that marks the beginning of her reign of terror. She transforms into a formidable avatar of Sekhmet, confronting her enemies in the church, an ancient sanctuary that becomes the stage for a showdown. Unperturbed by a desperate resistance, Erzsebet effortlessly withstands the assaults of her enemies, revealing the depth of her power and the futility of their challenge. The story takes a cruel twist as Erzsebet reveals her true intention for Maria, which was not death, but perhaps a darker fate, eternal servitude as a vampire. This revelation disturbs those present, especially Emmanuel, who is forced to witness the horror of his daughter's potential fate. In a moment of desperation, Tara offers herself in place of Maria, only to be ensnared by the venomous bite of the countess. As the church became a scene of chaos and despair, Erzsebet's cruel laughter echoed against the ancient walls. She sent Drolta to hunt down the fleeing heroes, ensuring that none who opposed her could find comfort or sanctuary. With Paris under the shadow of her eclipse and her enemies scattered and broken, Erzsebet's reign of darkness began to unfold, promising an era of blood and night. What elements of her appearance made Erzsebet Bathory an imposing figure? Erzsebet's presence is as captivating as it is terrifying, a testament to her vampiric nature. Towering over many, her statuesque figure is shrouded in an aura of supernatural elegance, marked by her pale skin and piercing red eyes that seem to glow with a malevolent light. Her strikingly red hair is an architectural marvel in itself, defying gravity in an upright style that asserts her regal and menacing demeanor. Crowning her head is a delicate yet sinister golden tiara, while a blood-red gem ominously nestled in her chest hints at the centuries of horror she embodies. Her attire is a mix of dark majesty and seductive danger. She is often seen wrapped in a dark blue gown, tailored with high collars and accented by brown contours that enhance her formidable figure. The gown, complete with gloves up to her arms, serves as both armor and statement, enveloping her in a gloomy charm. For her rare but formidable public appearances or when riding her chariot, she dons a golden armor, a tribute to the war goddess Sekhmet. This armor, combined with a wide, smooth white skirt, creates a distinct and intimidating silhouette. Her transformation into the avatar of Sekhmet marks a dramatic shift in her appearance. Her already striking features sharpen, becoming almost feral, while her eyes burn with ferocity. Her hair, now a deeper shade of blood red, bursts into a wild, mane-like cascade, echoing the fierce lioness deity. In this form, Erzsebet stands even taller, an imposing figure of divine wrath. Her attire in this form is a spectacle in itself, with a huge black cape and a bright yellow collar framing her, and a gown that gradients from blue with dark yellow accents to pure white at the bottom, centered with a golden medallion that draws attention. A metallic bra covers her, and her exposed midriff adds a stark contrast to the dark ensemble, completing her transformation into a deity of destruction and power. What traits are predominant in Erzsebet Bathory's personality? Tara's chilling description of Erzsebet paints a vivid portrait of a being whose essence is woven with the darkest threads of sadism and cruelty. On the surface, Erzsebet exudes an air of composure and refinement, her demeanor cold and imperturbable. She is a creature of deceptive elegance, extending cordiality to those who serve her and eloquently inspiring her followers with grandiose speeches filled with promises of power and glory. Her manipulative skill is unmatched, expertly pulling the strings of those around her to bend them to her will. However, beneath this cultivated facade lies a heart of pure malice. Erzsebet is consumed by vanity. Her arrogance and haughtiness permeate every word and action. She scorns those she considers inferior, treating them with total contempt and delighting in their humiliation. Her sadism knows no bounds. She finds twisted pleasure in the prolonged suffering of her victims, ensuring they remain lucid through unimaginable tortures, savoring their despair as she drains their essence. Her disdain for ideals of freedom and equality manifests in a brutal repression of anyone who dares to challenge the oppressive order she upholds. To her, the cries for freedom are nothing more than affronts to the hierarchy she maintains, a natural order where the nobility reigns supreme and all others exist to serve. She views the movements of emancipation and the revolutionary fervor sweeping France as personal affronts, challenges to be crushed under her foot in the most atrocious manner conceivable. Erzsebet's relationship with her vassals is one of ownership and domination. She demands unwavering obedience, viewing them not as individuals but as property to be used and discarded at her whim. Any hint of defiance is met with immediate and harsh retribution as she reinforces her authority through fear and violence. Her demand for sacrifices and absolute devotion borders on fanaticism, reflecting her need to be revered and feared as a deity. The acquisition of Sekhmet's powers has only exacerbated her monstrous ego, inflating it into a complete deity complex. She sees herself as the earthly incarnation of the war goddess, indignant at the notion of any deity rivaling her for worship. Her ambition is insatiable, and she desires to see the entire world prostrate before her in terror, her ultimate goal being to extinguish the sun and erase the legacy of her father Amun-Ra, plunging the world into eternal darkness where she reigns supreme as the sole object of veneration. Her very existence is a blight upon the earth, an unrelenting force of tyranny and terror. Erzsebet's story concludes as a dark parable about the corrupting influence of power. Her transformation from a noble human to a tyrannical vampire countess illustrates the extremes of cruelty and tyranny. Her sadistic reign, marked by a disdain for freedom and an insatiable thirst for control, positions her as an emblem of absolute evil. Ultimately, her story serves as a stark reminder of the perpetual struggle against darkness and the need for vigilance to preserve light and freedom. Erzsebet's legacy is a cautionary echo through time, underlining the profound consequences of unchecked malevolence. Hey, don't go just yet. If you enjoyed my video, I'd love to recommend another one for you to watch.